Welcome, everybody, to Moving Markets. Today is Wednesday, the 15th of May, 2019, of course. It is right now just after 9 o'clock Mountain Time. That makes it a little after 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Sorry, California and Central Time Zone. You got to figure out what time it is compared. I'm just kidding. Anyway, kind of a quiet day today compared to what we've had over the last couple of weeks. By the way, for those of you that are listening only and you're not watching the video podcast, number one, I'm looking kind of shabby. I haven't shaved for a couple of days, and man alive, the older I get, the more white comes in when when the razor misses my face in the morning. It's more and more white than it ever was, but just looking a little shabby. But if you've noticed, I had a couple people that noticed and made some comment. Not every day this month so far, but the majority of the days this month, as I've done the podcast, I've had on either a shirt or a hat or both that reference the military in some way, that reference mostly the Army, because I served in the U.S. Army. And I still love the people in the Air Force and the Navy and the Marines. Someone's got to get the Army to where the fighting is done. I'm joking. I love all of our armed services. But at the end of this month is Memorial Day, and all month long, every year through the month of May, I personally, whether it spills over a lot to family and friends until the actual Memorial Day weekend, I celebrate all month long the men and women who have fought and have died for our country, to preserve our freedoms. I am so grateful. I spent a number of years in the United States Army right out of high school. This goes back to the mid 80s. I went into the U.S. Army in 1985, summer of 1985. I did basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey. And I love the time I spent in the military. I was not involved in any wars. I was not involved in any conflicts overseas. I trained with some absolutely fantastic individuals. And there's some things I miss about it. For me personally, it wasn't a career path. I might have thought I think everyone that goes into the military, even those that serve for a short period of time like me, probably think at one point in time or another that they may make it a career path. It just didn't end up being the case for me. But I am very grateful. I am very grateful, and I mean this with all the sincerity that I can muster, for the men and women who serve this country, who have served, for those that have fought and given up life or limb. Thank you. Thank you for your service. For those of you who have lost family members and had family members that have served and either died in service or have been injured, or have served and come home without any injury. Thank you. Thank you sincerely for the sacrifices that you've made. Anyways, that's the reason why all this week and all next week I'll be, as I do the podcast, I'll have something on. I'll be wearing a hat or a shirt or both that makes some reference to the armed forces of the United States. So, and I'm only mentioning that because one of our faithful listeners sent me an email yesterday, just questioning, asking if that's what I always do or if there's some special reason. So that's the reason. All right. So kind of a quiet day. The stock market started off well to the downside today. Not like we've had some of the days last week, nothing like we had on Monday. But the Dow did start down about 140 points, went down, I think, as low as 160, 170. I may not have gotten quite down that low. But it's turned around and rebound now. Now you've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average up almost 40 points. You've got the NASDAQ and the S&P are both trading to the upside after starting the day to the downside. There was some news that came out, a report that came out on retail sales, and the numbers were disappointing. I have really mixed feelings about things like retail sales numbers, because I think they are so unnecessary and so irrelevant. And I think they're so inaccurate. They get revised over the next couple of months. You'll hear about a revision to the numbers. Why post the numbers if you're going to revise them in a month? Wait until you have accurate numbers if you're going to post them at all. If you're going to publish those numbers in any manner, wait until you have accurate numbers. How hard is that? It shouldn't be. It's not. Just do it that way. It's absolutely ridiculous. I also think it's an incredible waste. Just an absolute. It's a perfect example of how we have let a bloated bureaucracy get so completely out of hand. We spend so much money on so much unnecessary crap in this country. I don't care if it's one individual that makes $60,000 a year plus benefits, or if it's a small army of people that are all making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year plus benefits. There is not a justification for one single solitary penny of our money to be spent on the gathering of data and the publishing of retail sales reports, or new housing starts, or new construction spending, or any of this other stuff. If there is a need for it, let the private sector provide it. It's just so simple. And someone is going to make a justification somewhere. Someone is going to say, well, the government needs these numbers to help make projections on budgets, and how much money is it going to give to different companies for housing projects, and how much money is it going to give to lower income families that need money for housing supplements, and how are they going to control rents? How are we going to know what wiggle room we have with sales taxes and with other type of taxes if we don't know these retail sales numbers, these housing numbers? I could make a really compelling argument that the government ought to just get the crap out of all of that stuff. Just completely 100% get out of that. Pay for the defense of our country and pay money to protect us from foreign trade inequalities. That's what the United States government should do. The United States government should protect us physically. They should protect our borders. They should protect our interests with our military, and they should protect us from unfair trade. Beyond those two things, there is not a single solitary reason that is justifiable for the existence of any federal government agency. Everything else, and I'm not a libertarian. I'm not an anti-government person. I want to make it really clear. I don't believe that there should be no government, but everything beyond the national defense of our country and trade policy internationally should be handled at the state level, and the federal government should get the hell out of it. Okay, that I feel strong about that. So when we have a report in the morning about retail sales numbers, and the retail sales numbers are much lower than the analysts expected, I'll say it again. I'm going to say it every single time I mention a report. The analysts were wrong once again. They always are, and they always continue to take home their paycheck, even though they are always wrong. 100% of the time, analysts get it wrong. So the analysts were wrong once again. They were expecting much higher retail numbers than we actually got. And the market had what I think was a little bit of an overreaction, a little bit of a panic reaction this morning to that. And then when the markets had been open for less than an hour, word came out from some White House official. I don't know who said it yet, but word came out from some White House official that the president was planning on delaying automobile tariffs for maybe up to as much as 6 months. And you had companies like General Motors and Ford do an immediate about face and turn around and start trading to the upside. And the rest of the market has followed. There is this thought process that if the president, if there's a little bit of give on those tariffs, there may be a little bit of give on other tariffs. And so, automobiles by themselves are not going to be enough to bolster the market, but it was enough. It was the catalyst for a turnaround. And then the other bolstering of the markets and the indexes had to do with the hope that he's softening his stance a little bit. Look, I don't think he's changing anything at all. I think he has a genuine desire to continue helping the auto industry as much as possible. And so that's a big benefit to them. The other thing that happened is there was a report that came out on gas and oil reserves. In spite of what's going on with some heating tension and some escalation of rhetoric and tensions with Iran, our oil reserves are high. That means that oil prices are going down a little bit. And the reality is, lower oil prices is a boost to most of our economy. Stock prices might suffer a little bit for big energy companies like Exxon, like Chevron. You can see companies like that take a little bit of a short-term hit when oil prices go down, but everything else in the economy can potentially benefit from lower oil prices. It's not just you and I as the consumer that feel it at the pump. It's not just our not having to pay as much to fill our car with gas and being able to spend that money in other places. It is every single purchase that we make, every time we turn on the heater or the air conditioner at our home, every time we turn on the lights at our home, gas and oil are directly impacting those prices. Most of the United States, in fact, I think it's still large portions of the world, still get their electricity from gas and coal power plants. My home is still heated by natural gas. That is the case for most people, even people that use electric heat. I remember one home that my family lived in growing up that we had these electric baseboard heaters. I remember my mom and dad constantly complaining about how expensive they were. But even that is an indirect product of the oil industry. The power plants providing that electricity are more often than not powered by gas, natural gas, oil, and in many cases, there's still coal that's powering them. But the energy sector may get hurt a little bit with falling oil prices, but everything else benefits from it. So, that's the backdrop behind a turnaround in the market and the fact that we're trading to the upside a little bit today. Who knows if it'll last? I mean, there's still a lot of hours left of trading today. A couple other things driving the markets. Macy's reported their earnings and really posted some good numbers. And then the CEO, I'm not going to suggest that he took a shot at Donald Trump or at the administration when he said that tariffs are going to have a direct negative effect on their business in the upcoming year. What I think is that that's a real easy excuse to lower expectations and have a better chance of meeting their numbers. So when they publish their numbers for next quarter, number one, analysts may revise their expectations down, and then analysts will be wrong again because they always are wrong. And then it will be easier for Macy's to beat those expectations, and that's good for the shareholders, and that's good for the stock and for the stock price. But I think it's an incredibly, incredibly easy excuse to say tariffs are going to cause us to make less money. There may be some truth to that. It may not be something that is completely out of the question, but it's definitely. I think it's an excuse. That's. Okay, I'm not going to say anything more about that. Some other things in the news that I find interesting right now. Abigail Disney, who I believe is the daughter of the late Walt Disney, is testifying. She's wasting our tax dollars, and our congressmen and senators are wasting our tax dollars by having her come in and give her little opinion and her little spiel about the unfair pay of CEOs. And I wish someone would cram a sock in her mouth and then fire every congressman and every senator who would waste our tax dollars by calling her in to testify. It is pointless. It is meaningless. It is ridiculous. It is another example of a colossal waste of money. I don't know why more people don't get outraged that the government wastes so much money. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's she's in there complaining about CEOs, even the CEO of her father's former company, making too much money. And I'm thinking, how many jobs has she held in her life? Now, I'm not saying she doesn't work. I'm not the type of person who's going to say you only work if you have a job. There are stay-at-home moms, there are stay-at-home dads, there are people who have made a lot of money and are now philanthropists, and they don't work, but they do a lot of work and they do a lot of good work. And maybe Abigail Disney does a lot of good work. I don't know, but she's never had to earn a living. She's never had to do a damn thing in her life to go out and earn a living. She is living off of the wealth that her father created. He created that wealth because he was a risk taker, because he was an entrepreneur, because he was a hard worker, because he was innovative. And why would you ever, as the direct beneficiary of that, why would you ever complain about someone else doing that? Why would you ever complain about how much money someone else is making because they are a great leader and they are a great head of a company? Let the CEO of Disney make $500 billion a year. And what business is it of yours, especially when every single solitary time Disney brings in another penny of revenue, another penny of income, another penny of profits, she's directly benefiting from that. Holy crap. Talk about biting the hand that's feeding you. It absolutely blows my mind away that she would have the nerve and the audacity to go in there and complain about how it's so unfair that Iger makes the kind of money that he makes, and that the average Disney employee makes like 1/100th of that or something. It's probably even worse than that. Who cares? They're employing tens of thousands of people. There's tens of thousands of people that wouldn't have jobs right now today and wouldn't have benefits if it weren't for Disney employing them. And so if the head of that company is making a boatload of money, so be it. I mean, just, she might be a really nice person, but she is so messed up and misguided in what she's doing and in the way she's testifying before Congress right now. It just absolutely irks me. All right. I don't know if what she's doing is driving markets in any way, shape, or form. It probably is not. Probably most people don't care. But it was a headline this morning. It was part of what was going on this morning, and it just absolutely infuriated me. Okay, so and her public comments started a couple weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago. She made some of her public comments, and now it's just to the point where someone in Congress wants to bring her in and have her testify so that they can say, see, corporate America is evil. Liberals and Democrats think that every single thing about corporate America is evil. And that's the premise that they operate on. And it's a bunch of bullcrap. It's pandering. It's pure pandering. They don't really think corporate America is evil because corporate America is where a lot of them made their money. Not all of them. A lot of them are just making money off of being corrupt politicians that waste the crap out of our money. But a lot of them have made their money in corporate America. They continue to benefit from corporate America. They get their political donations from corporate America. They get payoffs and bribes. They get money under the table. They get perks, and so much of it comes from corporate America. They don't really hate corporate America, but they know that plays well to their myopic, foolish audience. Speaking of foolish audience, I was forgetting specifically yesterday in the podcast. I mentioned the stupidity of what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said when she tried to walk back her comments about the Green New Deal, and specifically about the world coming to an end in 12 years if we don't make a dramatic change. What she said was that anyone who believed or took those words literally had less intelligence than a sea sponge. There's your constituency, AOC. You just perfectly, for all of us who never believed the crap that came out of your mouth, for all of us who never, ever gave it any credibility of any kind, because the second you said it, we knew it was total crap. You just confirmed for us that we were right all along. Not that we needed it. That's kind of silly for me to say. We didn't need that confirmation, but you just admitted that we were right all along. And you just perfectly confirmed what we have thought about anyone who would cast a vote for you ever. And that is that they have intelligence probably less than a sea sponge. God, the just the unmitigated stupidity of that woman kills me, and her popularity. It is a gift. She is such a gift to conservatives and Republicans. Just please, please, please keep talking. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I want you to get hopped up on as much caffeine as you can. I want you to have your own TV station, and I want every single American to have to listen to it, because every time you open your mouth and talk, you prove the stupidity of liberalism. You prove the stupidity of the Democrat Party, and you prove the stupidity of your followers. And wow, I hope the day comes when some of them wake up and realize just how nonsensical you are. But don't stop doing it, please. You are the gift that keeps on giving. That's all I have for today. And just in that short 20 minutes that we've been live, the Dow Jones has gone from being up 25, 30 points to being up over 100 points now. We're off to another good day in the market. Started shaky this morning, but things are looking good right now. Still a lot of trading time today. Probably, I have an inkling that tomorrow in our live presentation, we're going to be talking about a different finish than what we're seeing right now. We'll see what happens. Hope everybody has a great day. Bye-bye.